Hi, old man with a fly rod again. Just telling you about a little experience I had Friday afternoon, which was really fun. Not a lot of fish, but this experience I'm about to tell you about was really fun. It was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, a little bit of a breeze, a nice current. Even though there were no generators going and there was no water flowing through the dam, there was a residual current from the water that would have been flowing in the morning. And so this, of course, this is Lake Taneycomo down here in southern Missouri. And so I went out and I saw my friend John Gantner. He was just coming out and I was going in. I said, what is this, a tag team match? And so I went in and he had been fishing in the morning and he had caught 4 rainbows. And so I went out and, there was no water flowing like there was for John, so he was worried I wouldn't catch anything. And I was too. And I tried a whole bunch of midges and stuff like that. And boy, nothing. Zebra midge, a little orange midge I make. I forget, a scud. I was trying to scud. And then I even went to a white megaworm and absolutely nothing. So I put on a Waltz worm. In fact, I told John this is what I caught this fish on, was a Waltz worm, and he hadn't heard of it. And yet I come to find out the fly has been around for a long, long time. And so I went ahead and I fished with this Waltz worm, which we're going to show you in a minute how to tie. Very, very simple. And I'm floating this thing with a strike indicator about 24 inches deep. And all of a sudden, that strike indicator went down with a definite sink below the surface. And of course, I set the hook, and then my rod bent and started pointing right to where the strike indicator used to be. And line is going out like there's no end to it. And this fish is going across the river, and I'm watching line come off my reel like, whoa. I'm into my backing, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I know there's some huge fish in that Lake Taneycomo, and I know I was in a big one. So anyway, he made a couple of runs off of that. Then all of a sudden, he starts running right at me. Well, I don't have really a large arbor reel, which would be perfect for this situation. So I'm reeling on this old Orvis reel as fast as I possibly can, turning my right shoulder towards the fish so I can keep that tension on him. And he comes tearing at me. And then about 2 or 3 more runs, and then he does a swirl in front of me, and I said, that's a big fish. And so anyway, he does a little dance around me about 5 yards away from me, trying to go around me, and I'm redirecting him. And I'm thinking, oh boy, just hope he doesn't break me off. I knew it was a big fish, but I didn't know what. So I took my net off of my back and I put it between my legs because I knew I wasn't going to go anywhere. And I'm fighting this fish, and all of a sudden the fish is coming towards me. And I took a chance because I knew the fish wasn't tired out yet. I took a chance and I put my net out, and the fish was so large that on my carrying net, it folded into the net, meaning it was really too big for the net. And then I started taking it towards the shore, thinking this time I'm going to get a nice picture of this. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't want to risk killing this fish. And so I stopped, I took it out, and I kept the net in the water, and I took a Waltz worm out of its upper jaw. Wasn't going to be in there long. I could see that. He was working it out pretty good. And it wasn't hard for me to get that out of his upper jaw. And then I held him by his lower lip and put him against my rod, which I have marked with, size indications. And it was a healthy 18-inch brown. And healthy meaning I couldn't get my hands around that thing. It was such a wonderful fish, and I just didn't want to kill it. So forgive me, I don't have a picture of it, but I do up here. And the reason is not to show off to you guys, If I was going to do that, I'd have a picture. But I'll tell you what, let's tie up that fly and see how we do. There are a number of ways of tying the body, but let's tie one up and see if it works off of your fly fishing box nicely too. Alrighty dighty, and I'll grab that bead head and get it lined up. And down it goes. And there we go. All right, we'll take this out and push that bead head up towards the front. And if you recall, we really want this thing to sink. So we're going to go ahead and put a little 0.20 wire on there. Some lead, I should say. And we'll go ahead and hold that right there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 should do it. And then we'll go ahead and just cut this end off here. Because if I try to whirlybird that, it sometimes comes unwound. Now let's push that into the head, or into the wide end of that hook, and then or into the wide end of the bead head, and it'll keep that bead head up there. That's if that doesn't travel backwards. So let's make sure of that by putting on some black thread. And here we go. Good deal. And we'll go ahead and just taper this really nice here. I still don't like that showing there. Okay, good. Good deal. We want to taper this whole thing back to the bend in the hook. There we go. Now again, let's taper that right there, if you don't mind. Gotta hold my right arm a little bit because back in October, this being March, I fell over some wet rocks that were very shallow because I was just entering the water. And I fell on my tush, and in trying to break my fall, my elbow landed on a huge rock and shoved my arm up into my shoulder, and it hasn't been the same since, but it's slowly getting there. All right, so now let's go ahead and tie on our wire. And there we go, like we did in the first one with the peacock curl, but this time we're going to do it with a little... I have a question, and that is, say you have real good scissors, and you want to cut some thin wire, and you don't want to ruin the scissors. Well, why can't you be cutting it like here, and you're not dulling the tip of your scissors that you use for cutting off thread and finer things? But these scissors I just kind of keep strictly from metal because I haven't gotten a good answer yet on why I can't. Alrighty dighty. Let's put that inside the bead head and tie that puppy on. That's beautiful. Good deal. And let's get this back here. And now, I said we're going to do this with some dubbing. So I'm going to use some hairline, I think it's dark brown. And as I mentioned before, as far as fish are concerned, the most important thing is size of your fly, and then the shape of the fly, and then thirdly is the color. And so now I feel these hairs are going to be too long for this, so I'm just going to make a little clump here, and then I'm going to take my scissors and cut these, and probably cut that whole clump into thirds. And now I'll go ahead and just put this on here. I'm not a wax guy. I'm not a dubbing loop guy. I'm not a dubbing guy, period. I'm not nuts over it. Only because it's hard to do properly. And let's go ahead and put a little bit more here and get this with my fingers and get that a pretty tight noodle. Okay, a pretty tight noodle. Let's go ahead and start with this and see where we're at. And we'll start right there at that and come forward. And this is where we want it thicker, is right there to help us with our taper. Excellent. Put a little bit more on there. Perfect. Move that up. Move it on up. And we'll go ahead and tie that on right there. And we'll go ahead and put a couple of half hitches right behind the bead head. There we go. All right, that's pretty nice. Now, if I was making a scud, I'd try to direct all that down because we're trying to imitate legs. Here, we're just trying to make as fuzziest looking fly that we possibly can. All right, so now we'll go ahead and segment this a little bit. Let's go ahead and put my lead. No, I like to put my fingernail up against here because I don't want it coming off of here and onto the shank of the hook. And now, how many winds do I do here? I don't know, whatever comes out to be. So I get close to that neck, okay? And there we go. There we go. There we go. And put my arm down here and then put that around there one more time. Good. Now I think I will go ahead and whip finish that. Like so. And then when I'm done with this fly, I've got to go and vacuum for my wife. Say what? Well, I do. She cooks me such nice meals. We've been married 54 years. And I often kind of wonder who she's seeing on the side because she encourages me to go fishing. But we're 77, so I doubt if either one of us are seeing anybody on the side. And let's just go ahead and not waste time here and just cut off that little extra piece of wire. There we go. And I'm going to make sure I fold that tag. If I'm not going to whirly bird, just fold that up there nicely. Now, what do I do with that little piece of tag? And that's this. I'm going to put a little bit of Sally Hansen's right there. Hard as nails stuff. Works good. And then we're going to go ahead and take my bodkin and just go ahead and drop a little bit there and work it around the side there. Okay, that's wonderful. But that still doesn't answer what we're going to do about that little tag. I'd like it tucked into the bead head if I could. So what I do is I take some long nose pliers that were used for orthodontics. I don't see why you can't find the smallest long nose pliers you can find. And then I take the head and I just twist it a little bit, and I'm pushing in too to tuck that wire in the best I can. There we go. That looks great. Now, lastly, let's get that thing looking as buggy as we can. And I do have a choice of nice hard wire brushes that are made for colonoscopies on rats. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what they're used for. But you can get a ring of these like this at Harbor Freight. And that's been my best one. I've tried using Velcro. I've tried using just the bodkin. But I have found these nice hard bristle brushes that you can get at just take a picture of this and go to Harbor Freight and tell you guys, I want this, okay? So I'm really getting this thing buggy looking top and bottom. There we go. There, yeah. Now I don't want my hairs to stick out, you know, beyond what's normal. So we'll do a little trim work here and there. And that's my Waltz worm. Cool, huh? I think I'm gonna get sexy and put a little red collar on that. Yeah. Let's just go ahead and tie on a little red collar here. Just to make it a little attractive. Just a little hot spot there. Okay? And we'll go ahead, and I'm just going to use a couple of half hitches because this has nothing to do with the rest of the fly coming apart. And I'll put a little glue on there too. And that just gives a little attractive spot for the fish. Now we'll go ahead and cut that off. I'm kind of anxious to fish this one. The only ones I've had so far is with the peacock herl, or sometimes on a real small fly I will use ostrich feathers. And when you see what I get the ostrich feathers from, you're going to run over to your Walmart, and that's where I got this. And this cost me an expensive $7. And there's enough ostrich feather on there to tie enough flies probably for the rest of my life. But keep in mind, I'm 77, so I don't have as much time as many of you guys do. And I think we're good. I will put a little bit of glue on that red thread I put on there. Gosh, I like the looks of that fly. I just hope the fish does. And let's go ahead and just work a little. Now while this is dry, I don't think I put on enough that it's going to affect the eye of my hook. But while it's drying, I'll put in a little size 28 wire into the hook eye while it's setting up. And then I know I have no cement or anything in the hook eye. So there you go. We'll just let that set like that. And then when it's done, a lot of times what I find out is this thing is cemented in. I just move it up and down to clear out that eye. So that's quite a simple fly, but I tell you, I got an 18-inch brown on Friday on that. Happy and alert. I hope it makes you happy, guys. Talk to you. Bye.